You're welcome back. Agriculture has always been a key part of Nigeria's economy, often highlighted as a solution to reducing our reliance on oil. Yet, despite its importance, we continue to ask, how far has agriculture truly evolved in Nigeria? What role does it play in global ranking? And what has it achieved for economic growth? In this conversation, we would examine the current state of agriculture in the Southeast, its challenges, its opportunities, and how it can evolve to drive business, create jobs, and attract investment moving into 2026. Joining me to unpack this is our guest, Mr. Tony Udukwe, Business Development Consultant, MD Export Chamber of International Trade and Investment. Mr. Tony Udukwe, yes, because you nodded immediately I said Udukwe. I really apologize.
That's all right.
Okay, how are you doing?
Good. You?
Yeah, I'm great. You're glowing.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's head straight to the business of the day.
All right.
Every time we talk about agriculture, and here in Nigeria, when we talk about how to get out of our reliance on oil, we talk agriculture. That's the next thing that people talk about. But how would you describe the current state of agriculture in the Southeast today? And in Nigeria, as an overview?
Yeah, in the Southeast, I would say the situation is deplorable. We're not doing as much as we're supposed to be doing. I would say in the Southeast, we're not really food secure, right? If we had crisis in the North right now, the Southeast will go hungry, right? Okay. Every region is supposed to be food secure. What I mean by that is self-dependent. Okay. But the Southeast mostly depend on the North. Right. Okay. And so every time the North has a crisis, like a couple of months, last year, I believe it was, Governor Bagu said no, the people are not allowed to come ship, truckloads of food out of the state anymore. Okay. And now they want to start, using it for state consumption. It's true. The Southeast in a lot of trouble. Prices went high, food supply went very low, and then, the Southeast had a few problems, right? Okay. So I think that the governors of the Southeast should invest in agriculture. Agriculture is very important. Agriculture is almost as old as humanity, right? Yes. And so you can't take agriculture for granted. Yeah. The governors in the Southeast should invest in agriculture because food is life. Okay. Right, and so the situation in Enugu and the Southeast is almost in a deplorable condition. Nationally, some states are doing better than the others. Right. I was going to mention something about some states, and you say that it's deplorable. What contributions are we having significantly to national agricultural export? The Southeast, what's our percentage in all of this? I'm not even sure it's up to 5. I don't know the figures, but I'm not sure it's up to 5%. If it's not up to 5, it's I don't think alarming. Yes, it is alarming. The thing is, now let me ask you a question. You've traveled around the Southeast. How many times have you, while traveling, seen expanses of land, agricultural farmland with rice, or cassava, or cocoa, whatever it is? Tell me how many times you've seen that anywhere. I would use a scale rather. Yes. On a scale of 1 over 10, I would say 1. Because I have seen. But 1 is very bad. 1 is very bad. So you see my point. But we should see. This is something you see in other parts of the world. Okay. You travel, you see large, expanses of land, farmland, with crops growing on them, right? Yes. Because there are people who take agriculture seriously. Agriculture is business. Now, there are 3 branches of agriculture. A lot of people don't always think about this. Now, first you have crop farming. Right. It has to do with seeds, all the crops, right? Yes. Then you have livestock that has to do with all kinds of animal and birds, right? Okay. From there you can get dairy, milk, you can get eggs and all of that, right? Yes. Then you have the business part of agriculture, which is what we call agribusiness. And that's really where I play, right? So where you have investors investing in yam, investing in cassava and all of that. But all of that is not really going on in the Southeast. Okay. Now there's a man that I saw on radio. He might have on TV, he might have been here, Emeka somebody, I can't remember remember. He's doing a great job in Imo State, investing in agriculture.
Wow.
And so I think that's the kind of thing business people or investors should be doing in the Southeast, investing heavily in agriculture. If the government won't do it, individuals can go into it and do it. It's profitable. You really can't go wrong with agriculture.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Before we get to the investing part, right?
Yes.
Which states or communities in the Southeast currently have a competitive advantage in agriculture?
I would say only one, and that's Ebonyi State.
Just Ebonyi State?
Yes, Ebonyi State. After Ebonyi State, maybe Anambra.
So what are they really exporting?
No, in terms of export,
yes.
I wouldn't say they're doing well in terms of export.
Okay.
But in terms of production,
they're
doing better than every other state in the
rice?
Southeast. No, not just rice. They're doing cassava. They produce a lot of gari, and Calago gari, and how do you call in Calago ezilo.
All right.
A number of communities there produce high quality gari that are sold all over Nigeria. They have very good gari, right?
Yeah.
And so that means they are almost proficient with cassava farming, right? They do yam, they do potatoes, and they do a whole lot of stuff. But Ebonyi is the only state I would say in the South is that I'm sure, can be food sufficient if anything went wrong.
Okay.
Yes.
The only states. You know, I was going to ask a question. Our current production levels in the South is sufficient to meet local demand. But you already mentioned if there happens to be a war in the North today,
not just a war, but hungry. I mean, not just a war. It doesn't have to be a war. It could just be like something like Bagu did recently, cutting off, food supply. There could be crises, different kinds of crises that could lead to a blockade on the way, between the North and the Southeast, and we'll have all kinds of problems. Our people are not taking agriculture seriously. The government isn't taking it seriously. Even though I've heard that Governor Peter Mbah signed an MOU last year with some, agribusiness investors, to set up farms. I haven't seen that, but if that is reality, it's something, it's a good step in the right direction.
Okay, I also saw something today, and I read it out about agroecology, something that he's also trying to put together for youth in the state.
Yeah,
and has agriculture in the Southeast transitioned from subsistence farming to commercial agribusiness?
Absolutely not.
Do we have anybody? Okay, you are here. You are doing something on that.
Yes,
Do you have people like you doing things on agric?
Yes, absolutely. There are a number of young men who are in the agribusiness sector. There's a young man I know who's farming rice, farming yams. I can't remember his name now, but if you talk about agriculture in Enugu
State,
he's one of the people you would call their names. He's a big farmer, right? And he's a young man. I'm also in the agribusiness. I have, clients that I manage their farms. I have clients that I set up a yam and sack farm, which is a new way to cultivate yam last year, right? And I've also aggregated a number of investors to invest in yam and sack,
Wow.
Yeah, so I play in that field as well. But I would say that we need to see more young people go into agriculture.
Yes.
The problem is that young people in Nigeria, and especially in the South, view agriculture as a dirty man's, business job, right? And so they don't even want to get involved.
Not just the part of it being dirty, it's so tedious as well.
Yes, I agree. But then if you had knowledge, you'll understand that agriculture shouldn't really be as tedious as it used to be for our fathers or their fathers, right?
Because
apart from having mechanized agriculture, you have different kinds of farming processes. You have something we call hydroponics, that is farming with water, just water. You don't need the soil, right? You have aeroponics, right? You have hydroponics. There are different kinds of...
These are elevated sectors.
Yes, so it's new technology that, you can farm vegetables in your house without having to till the soil. Tell me what's tedious about that?
I've not seen
so
that
you could have a 2-plot compound that has a building sitting on it, but then you can farm on your fence. You can farm vegetables on your fence, right? So you can also do half a plot of cassava in sacks, and it's really profitable. At the end of 6 months, you would have harvested, yam without having to till the soil.
Yeah, you would, but it would be for you and your family.
Of course, there's no business that doesn't require a little bit of hard work.
Yes.
But it's not as tedious. It shouldn't be as tedious as we know it, right? It depends on how you want to go about it, actually, yes.
Okay, it's a new year. So let's talk about 2026.
Great.
A lot of people are looking at on how to get a business plan, businesses to invest in or go into, and agriculture is something worth going into.
Yes.
What areas of agriculture here in the Southeast offer the greatest potential for business growth this year?
Agriculture in general is profitable, right? But in general, it's profitable. But it requires investment, right?
Okay.
Now, you wouldn't have the food processing industry without the food production industry. What I mean by that, if you don't have farmers, the likes of, I don't know if I'm allowed to call the names, the likes of the Nestle's, the big companies that produce cereals and all of that. Without farmers, they can't exist, right?
True.
So if you have those big companies taking agricultural produce and processing them into processed goods or finished goods or cereals, that means there's somebody somewhere supplying the raw material, right?
Yeah, for
and so if you actually go into production for bearing those kinds of companies in mind, you'll find out that agriculture is very profitable, right? So the first branch of agriculture, which is food production, is very profitable. There's no amount of food that you produce today that you can't sell, right? We haven't come to that point where we can say we're food sufficient, we can produce enough for ourselves. So for local demand, we don't even have enough.
We don't even have enough.
Now, there are certain crop commodities that Nigeria is the largest producer of in the world. Nigeria is the largest producer of cassava in the world, and China needs our cassava, right? So there's no way you're going to tell me that you're a cassava farmer and then you're hungry. Unless you're not serious about it.
And if you're a cassava farmer on a large scale, you will never be hungry.
Never.
Because you get to export.
Never. Because the point, apart from export, let's even forget the export market. There are people in Nigeria who are ethanol manufacturers. You can't even serve that market alone before you start talking about export, right? There are people who produce ethanol, which is a spirit, locally, and they need cassava. You can't serve that market alone, right? Now, if you decided to serve the people who produce processed gari, you cannot serve that market. It's a very large market before you begin to talk about export. So what does that tell you? We need to see more people go into crop farming so that we're able to sufficiently supply the middle sector, which is processing. So I said production is great, but processing is what I love the most. Right? Because it allows us to make our farmers wealthy. And the more wealthy you make them, the more they're encouraged to scale their production, right? But the middle sector of agriculture is actually what allows us to take finished products, raw materials, and turn them into finished products. Now, something happens every year. Farmers in Benue State and Kogi who farm tomatoes, get to a desperate point every year where they take the tomatoes to the farm and there are no buyers, and they leave them in the farm and walk home, right? Because it costs them money to transport it there, and they don't want to transport it right back home. So a lot of times they leave it there to rot. Now, and that's because we're not playing in the middle sector, which is processing enough. So we need enough industries that can offtake from the farmers and produce finished products. Because what happens is a tomato farmer could have problems selling his tomatoes, and if he doesn't sell it within 1 week, he begins to run a loss, right? But then if there's somebody who can actually offtake from him and process that into finished products and increase the shelf life to 2-3 years, right? It's a win-win situation for the processor and the farmer, right? Then the other thing that the government isn't doing that they should do is start a silo system, an effective or efficient silo system that allows the government to set up silos every part of Nigeria and offtake from the farmers. The farmer doesn't need to struggle to find somebody who's going to buy his crops. So government can offtake from the farmers, store them up in the silos, and then sell to those who need it. So that way you ensure that our farmers, get paid for their labor. And that motivates them to actually do more. We
don't have things that rot at the end of the day.
That's right.
Yes. So what strategies or innovation could drive the evolution of agriculture in the South is making it more efficient, profitable, and attractive for investors?
Government has to be involved, right?
Government has to be involved.
Now, first of all, government has to start a campaign to actually tell young people go into agriculture.
Okay, let me get you there, right? But what if government is taking the back seat?
Yes, involved in the sense that that's what I was trying to explain.
Yes,
Government has to sensitize people to the profits or the benefits of investing in agriculture. And apart from making a lot of noise about it, you can actually motivate people by giving them funds, right? Now you can start different programs where you say, okay, we need 1,000 young people who will set up 5 acres of cassava farm, right? 1,000 young people. And then you give them money, you give them input to do 1,000, 5,000, or how do you call it? Maybe 5 acres or something each.
And you follow them up as well.
Yeah, of course. I mean, they have to be serious people. If they are serious, you don't really need to worry about them going to the farm. They will do it. Because what happens is that you've given them money, you've given them input. So while they have cultivated and waiting to harvest, they're able to feed because you're sponsoring them. But you're also reassuring them that at the end of the harvest season, that you will be off-taking those crops. There's just no way you wouldn't have more than 1,000 people, young people wanting to go into that business with the government, right? And so when that happens, you ensure that you also give incentives that will attract people to come and set up, the middle sector that I keep talking about. There's something that is not directly related to agriculture, but I need to say it because it's very important.
Go ahead.
Now, Nigeria suffers one thing, and that is that we're a consumerist nation.
Yes, we are.
We import a lot, and that drains our economy.
True.
That one thing is the reason the Nigerian economy is not as robust as it should be. Now, in the southeast, we suffer the same thing as well, because all the major industries are in the western part of Nigeria. And so that means that all the salaries you all earn here, are given to distributors in the different markets in Enugu, whether they sell beverages or they sell whatever it is that they sell. They are agents of companies in the western part of Nigeria without necessarily discussing agency with this company. But what happens is that every day you go to buy a cereal or a chocolate drink, for example, you're giving the money to the distributor at Kayenta or main market, right? At the end of the day, he takes all that money and he shifts it to Western Nigeria and acquires those commodities. That is draining the Southeast economy. So what the government needs to do is to set up incentives that will make those companies come and set up shop in the Southeast so that they can begin to take from the farmers and process in the Southeast. And the Southeast customer will begin to patronize these companies within the Southeast. What it does is that it keeps the Southeast money in the Southeast and it grows the Southeast economy. Right?
Yes.
Today, Lagos is bragging about being the best state in Nigeria, and Igbo have to leave Lagos. I get angry. And that's because our leaders in the Southeast aren't taking it seriously. There's no way Lagos will tell Ndi Igbo Nano because you think Lagos is the best place. Igbos run the economy of Lagos. Now, we need to change the dynamics. Make sure that there are enough industries in the Southeast that will process and sell those commodities that Igbo people usually go and buy in Lagos. I will start buying it in the Southeast. But something happens. There is a corridor between Enugu to Abakaliki to Cameroon and to different parts of Western and Southern Africa that we can actually serve as excesses with. Right? So when we set up these industries here that will process, we'll sell within the Southeast. Nobody will bother about going to Lagos to buy anything. Prices will come down because you cut off the cost of freight between Lagos and Southeast. You buy it here. Prices of commodities will crash. Our excesses will export to Cameroon, to Malabo, to different parts of West Africa. And you will see a Southeast that prospers. And that's simply because somebody takes agriculture seriously.
And this is from the government's perspective.
Government perspective.
But what about individuals? What can they do, even without government getting to...
Everybody wants to set up a restaurant. Everybody wants to set up a boutique. That's all you see in Enugu. Everybody wants to set up a hotel. And now 2026 is going to be tough for those businesses because they're going to be taxed to death, right? But going to agriculture, nobody bothers about. Agriculture doesn't pay tax.
Agriculture doesn't pay tax. On food.
Food production, true. So what you simply need to do is set up farms. Nobody bothers you about the tax. You keep all your profit, right? Get a professional. That's why I'm saying we don't even have to beg people to do the right thing.
Okay. But what agribusiness do you think is quite affordable to put up?
I would say cassava.
Cassava.
And again, the new system of farming yam is also very simple. Right? You farm in sacks. What happens is that where you could get 500 to 800 tubers from a plot of land, right? When you farm the regular conventional mounds, right?
500?
Between 500 to 800. Sometimes it may not even be up to that, right? Because when you make those mounds, they take spaces, right? They take space. Now, the same plot of land can give you 2,000 tubers when you farm in sacks.
Wow.
Right?
Exact.
Yes. The same plot of land that wouldn't have given you 500 to 800 will give you 2,000 tubers. So imagine where you implement economies of scale and then you do 6 plots.
Yes.
Right? At the end of the day, you have 12,000 tubers. Okay. So let's say you sell minimally 3,500 a tuber.
Yes.
Right? Times 12,000. Calculate that. That's what you make in 1 year.
And you're just saying it like this. I just hope it's, pans out in practical terms.
No, but it is. It's that simple. You have to get a professional who will do that for you, really. That's why.
We have professionals.
That's why we have agri consultants who will do that for you.
And you are also a consultant,
absolutely.
A business development consultant.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I have clients who are harvesting now, whose farms we set up last year, right? So it's something people can go into. Everybody mustn't own a hotel, and everybody mustn't own a boutique.
Yes, that's the truth. So in practical terms, how can agriculture in the Southeast contribute to job creation? Although we already...
I talked about it.
Yes.
There are different branches of agriculture. The first branch is production. That itself is the largest employer of labor since the history of Nigeria, since the beginning of Nigeria. That has always been the biggest employer of labor, agriculture, right? Okay. So it's already employing a lot of people, but we need to do more. More investments means more employment in the production sector. Then when you move to the middle sector, which is processing, more industries you set up, the more jobs for the people. As a matter of fact, that's something I've always said, that I think our governors in the Southeast are relying too heavily on the FAC, right? Okay. Because you see, when you get your FAC, I don't know, Enugu gets a little less than 40 billion, right?
I don't know what the federation allocation is for them.
I think that's 38 or 40 billion, if I'm not wrong. But you see, what you simply need to do is take a little chunk of that money and set up at least 2 industries every month. Yes, it wouldn't take a month to set up an industry, but commit to setting up 2 industries every month with your FAC, right? So you start in January, you commit money for 2 industries, 2 major industries that manufacture the things we consume in Enugu. Right? Yes, it's going to take some months to set it up, but you've committed, you've started the circle, you started the process. February, you do the same thing. Now, in 24 months, you would have had 12 major industries in the Southeast. What does that do? It creates employment for our people.
Yes.
It's able to train our people. So you're also transferring skills and knowledge, through that one investment. So the interaction between the farmer and the processor, leads to the business part of agriculture where we actually export. We sell locally, we export. What you're going to find, for example, if you do this model in Enugu, what you're going to find is an Enugu that is healthy economically, right? Now, how does Enugu have some of the best IGR in the Southeast or even in Nigeria? And yet we don't have industries.
We don't have industries.
It brings me to the point of saying that we're actually exploiting our people heavily, right? Now, some of the healthiest economies are industrialized economies. So if you don't have industries and your IGR is healthy, somebody is paying for that. And it's blood and sweat of the citizens. So we need to correct that. Set up the middle part of take from the production sector, process right here, and then go to export and local distribution. And then we're going to have an Enugu that is amazingly healthy economically.
I think we agree on one thing, not just the Southeast, but Nigeria in general. We need a lot of industries.
No, but the Southwest is doing great. Lagos IGR is amazing. And we know why. We know why. But why it pains me that they always target the Igbos and say you have to leave is that they are acting like they don't know why Lagos is doing very well. Lagos was one time the capital of Nigeria. So there is a conglomeration of infrastructure in Lagos that gives it undue advantage, right? And so because of that, everybody has to go to Lagos. And what's more, all the major airports and seaports are in Lagos, right? Now, if you want to actually create a level playing field in Nigeria, what you simply need to do is open Onne port, open Bonny and all the seaports in the south, right? Open them up, give them national status, put the same kind of investment there that you have done in Lagos, right? And then centralize the airports. Make sure that we have enough flights coming to Enugu. Trust me, Igbo people will come home, and we'll see investment coming in the south, coming to the south.
The last point you just mentioned, we have to pray for that for it to happen.
Do we really need to pray? People need to, people need to do the right thing. The governors can do it. We don't even need federal governments to do that. Yes, we can. I mean, there's this clear model that the Southeast can take, and trust me, the Southeast will be better than Dubai. There's a clear model. You have to invest in agriculture, you have to invest in transportation. Set up rail lines that cut across all the states of the Southeast and channel it to Cameroon and different other countries.
Yeah.
These are economic corridors that when you do that and you make sure that the Southeast is doing well in agriculture and doing well with industries.
Yes.
Who needs the federal?
True.
Who needs Lagos?
Okay, with great minds.
I know we're talking about agriculture, but then you can't really cut off the business part of agriculture.
True.
And when you want to talk about the business part of agriculture, you can't cut off transportation.
Yes, logistics.
And logistics, yes.
Very important.
Yeah, so.
With great minds like yours, the South is in good hands.
I hope so. I'm getting too tired. I'm getting tired. I might leave you very
please,
soon.
don't get exhausted yet. We need you. That's the much we can take.
Right.
Mr. Tony, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
So grateful. Thank you very much. That's much we can take on the Eastern Business Report. Many thanks for staying with us. My name is Noma Aniwene. Bye for now.